some 20 years ago, there was a group of individuals in Beaver County that had a struggling school. And I read Mr. Hayden's testimony, and he's going to speak on it. So I'm not going to steal his thunder about the jobs it's created and the good it's done in Beaver County and all that stuff. But there was a group in Midland area that lost the high school, and they wanted to start this cyber school to service those kids that were getting bused to Ohio, actually, at the time. And during that time, before they actually started PA Cyber, there was a movement, or an attempt, rather, to reach out to the school districts and say, hey, why don't you all do this cyber charter program, and we'll help you with the curriculum, we'll help you build it, and you guys run it, and we go through it from there. And basically, they were laughed out of the meeting and saying that's not the future, that's never going to happen. And so they started PA Cyber. And that kind of gets me to the point of this bill. Is it's not the fact that that we need to work on the funding formula. I said earlier, I think that's something that needs to be discussed. It's the monopoly that this bill would create for school districts. And just so I'm clear and where your all's support is on this, so if a child has been in cyber charter school since kindergarten, first grade, and then this bill were to pass, they would have to be out of that, even if they'd been there for 10 years or so. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, but you'd have to check with the author.
So what happens under this bill, and what should happen, I guess, in your opinion? I guess that's what we're here to hear. What happens if the cyber school that's being run by the school district just isn't as good as performing as the cyber charter school was?
They should be held accountable. There should be levels of accountability for all of us as are building the law right now. They should be targeted for improvement.
Would there be any place for those kids to go? Would there be any other cyber charter school for those children to go to?
Well, if there are 3 options in every district, yes.
Well, but the cyber charter schools that are there now that they were at, that they are enjoying, presumably, because they stayed there, they wouldn't be able to go there. Is that correct?
Unless one of those cyber charter schools became a vendor of the district.
Have you heard, or is this, it rings true to me, and I have heard this from other cyber schools, and I would like to get your thoughts on it. Many of these students actually leave the school districts because they have, whether they're right or wrong, and whether it's actually a perceived issue or not, they have an issue with the school district. And so now we're going to be forcing them to go back to the school district that they left in the first place. Is that sound policy in your judgment?
I would agree with you that there are students who leave school districts for a multitude of reasons, some of them to get away from some bad situation that's happening. I think the way the bill is written, with the fact that there are multiple vendors, I think it gives the opportunity for those students to seek other options. I'll go a step further with that, in that, again, I've been around a while, so I've seen students return to school districts from cyber charter schools.
As they should have the choice to do.
As they should have the choice to do, and who did not go attend a cyber charter school for the right reasons. We get them back, and then they are much further behind than where they should be, because we haven't had the opportunity to work with the individual child to get them to a point where they can.
You mentioned there's 3 vendors, but it's still the school district that they'd be working through, correct?
It's my understanding of the way it's written.
So the school district would be the one that would be at this point right now. School districts, isn't it true that they have the ability to create their own cyber programs?
Yes, and we have.
And you don't think they have the ability to compete?
We do compete.
Then why the need to create the monopoly?
Well, I would argue with your term monopoly. However, I think the reason is a funding issue, an accountability issue, and a transparency issue. If I hung a sign up in front of my school that said this school was funded by the taxpayers of Northern York County School District, it would be true. If the cyber charters hung a sign up outside of their organization that says that this was funded by the taxpayers of these 253 schools, I think the taxpayers need to know that, and I don't think they do.
So there's a communications problem, and I have a hard time seeing how taking choices away from parents in this instance is a good idea. I agree that school districts should be able to do their own cyber programs. I think that's a good thing. I think that that's something that should be looked at. I just believe in all of the above. One other issue on funding, because we've mentioned it so much, and I promise this is it, Mr. Chairman. There is on PD records an issue that we're having within our district. We noticed that you're also having in York as far as not paying for tuition and all that stuff, the cyber charter schools. And I was wondering if you could clarify or give us some sort of policy reason for that and how we should go forward in the meantime while we look to reform this system.
I guess I need some clarification on that. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about.
Well, there was in the PD tuition records, there's a number of school districts that are behind in payments to cyber charter schools. And I had noticed that yours was as well when I was.
Oh, they don't pay. We allow that to be taken out of our the PDE basic education funding instead of paying the school up front. Is that what you're referring to?
No, I was referring to the actual the back payment that the school districts had. And in my district, there's 3 or 4 of them, and it is what it is at this time, right? And we just have to work within the system that we have. And I'm just curious how we solve those problems until we actually solve the overarching issue as well.
And, I think dispute resolution over costs that have been issued and over the way the dollar amount has been calculated, I think have always been an issue whenever you work between 2 entities and a contractor and a contractee. And I think we have to work through a dispute resolution process and to get to a point of satisfaction.
Thank you. I really do appreciate you coming here and testifying. Mr. Hayden.
Yes.
You noted how many people work at your school district?
We have 780 full-time employees.
How many of them are teachers?
About half of those.
Half of them are teachers. Are any part of them unionized?
2/3 of them are PSEA members.
They're PSEA members.
They're PSEA members.
Do you know what PSEA's position is on this bill?
Well, I read what their position is when I walked in the door. I'm a little curious what that is. I have to say I'm a bit frustrated that the majority of their position is to find a way for them to find other jobs, but I need to address that with my
So
my
their
local
position is
membership.
they need to go find other jobs.
Well, there would be a way for the legislature to make sure that if they can't work for PA Cyber, they can get other jobs.
How many of your teachers are in Beaver County?
In Beaver County,
Yeah.
well, we have about 350 employees in Beaver County total.
And how many school districts are there across the state that you service, or kids from those school districts?
We have a student in every one of the 500 school districts in all 67 counties.
Okay, so those teachers, if they wanted to go to those other jobs that would allegedly be created, would be going across the entire state, relocating?
Apparently, because majority of our employees live in Beaver, Allegheny.
Would those teachers that would be contracting through this bill, would they even be union?
I have no idea, probably not.
And so they're going to be losing membership, dramatically losing membership,
Right.
and their answer is to go to non-union jobs. I mean, they ought to be unionized under the steelworkers. I mean, it's just, and I'm a guy that I grew up in a union family, and I believe in that concept. I'm not trying to do that. It's just disappointing that your teachers went through this effort.
Yeah.
And we're told that they're going to have the support of this union, and this is what they get when this bill comes up.
Well, I'll address that
Thank
when I
you,
get
Mr.
back in
Hayden.
Midland. Thank you. Yeah.